Hello, friends. This is Ken.
And I'm Justin. Ready for a heavy topic today? We're getting into the nitty gritty. Shall we be arming teachers to protect our kids from school shooters?
It's a heavy hitter of a question for sure, Justin. We're gonna look at all the angles, including the good, the bad, and the downright terrifying. It's a very sensitive topic, like how ready are our teachers? What's this going to do to our students? And what about school resources, even race issues?
Nothing off the table, Ken. So let's start with some of the risks. Are we just swapping one danger for another?
Well, Justin, the Giffords Law Center might actually agree with you, since they have documented over 60 cases since 2014 where guns in schools led to unintentional discharges. Can we stomach that kind of risk, knowing that there's active school shooters in the country?
You're absolutely right, Ken. The Giffords Law Center has indeed reported a significant number of cases where guns in schools led to unintentional discharges. We're talking about teachers, administrators, and other staff who accidentally fired their weapons inside school premises. That's a major safety concern without even factoring in the potential for a school shooting situation. But let's consider the other side. Imagine you're out in rural America, where medical help isn't right around the corner. Could an armed teacher make the difference there?
Maybe, Justin. But then there's the question of readiness. The US Secret Service says that threat response is more than just pulling a trigger when you see it hostile. It's more about understanding violence and dynamics, threat assessments, and working with the proper law enforcement agencies. Are we asking too much from these teachers since they have to care about the students' mental health as well as the curriculum, and now they have to worry about an active firearm and a real firearm in their classroom?
Yeah, that's an interesting point and question, Ken. And while the Secret Service makes a good point about readiness, we must also remember that training programs are available to school staff. For instance, the FASTER program is one such initiative. They offer training that covers a broad range of crisis situations and doesn't solely focus on firearm usage.
I see your point, Justin. But now let's talk about the kids, the children, and the students that's around our age going into high schools right now. How would they feel if there's armed teacher around? How would you feel? Since the American Psychological Association says that it can actually ramp up anxiety and impact learning. And there's the issue with racial disparities in America especially, since the students with color are already getting the short end of the stick. Could having a gun worsen that?
That's a key question, Ken. The potential emotional and psychological impact on students can be overlooked. Yet, there are studies that suggest some students, especially those in high risk areas, feel safer knowing there's an armed officer on campus. This might extend to armed teachers too, provided they're properly trained and prepared, just like those officers.
That's hard to say. And then there's also the issue of resources. We're already stretched thin when it comes to mental health, especially in the United States. Do we risk overlooking by focusing on arming teachers? Do we risk overlooking the mental health of students? We are kind of fighting fire with fire here.
Good point, Ken, but some places like Texas are finding a way around this. The Guardian plan there provides specific funding for arming and training staff, without taking it away from other resources.
That makes sense, Justin, but shouldn't we be investing more in prevention? The Educational Fund to Stop Gun Violence says comprehensive policies like background checks and safe storage laws can reduce gun violence. Isn't that a better way?
Definitely worth exploring, Ken. But like the Harvard Educational Review suggests, why not try a mix of everything? Immediate security and long-term strategies.
It could be worth a shot, Justin, but here's a kicker of a question that I just thought about. What if requiring teachers to get firearm training changes the type of people who go into teaching or go into schools in the first place? Could it affect the political diversity of our classrooms? Since, there will be more pro-gun teachers that will be teaching the future generation, since any anti-gun teachers or teachers who just dislike having to manage a gun in their classroom wouldn't even consider being a teacher with this new policy.
Definitely worth exploring, Ken. But like the Harvard Educational Review suggests, why not try a mix of everything? Immediate security and long-term strategies.
Now that's an interesting thought, Justin. In fact, many schools already have resource officers, otherwise known as SRO. According to a report by the National Association of School Resource Officers, their presence has led to a decrease in crime rates in schools, but there are still some flaws in the system. The American Civil Liberties Union has raised concerns about the presence of SROs leading to a school-to-prison pipeline for some students, particularly of those by color, and by criminalizing minor behavioral issues.
Wow, that's something we'll need to dig into. But for now, I have another question. So, Ken, we've been hashing out teachers being armed, but what about a slightly different approach? What if we put trained safety officers, already armed and prepared, in our schools? Wouldn't that be safer? We wouldn't be risking the teachers at all, and we wouldn't change the political diversity of the classroom.
So, I think you would agree with me that it's kind of a balancing act. We've got to ensure safety without creating an environment that's overly punitive or it criminalizes our future students and generations. Something about the education system has to be done to protect the students in school.
Right, Ken. That's a real concern. We don't want to create an environment where kids are more likely to get funneled into the criminal justice system. And yet, the idea of having trained professionals specifically there to protect students does have its appeal. We also don't know if the school has enough money or whether or not the school shooter will just target this SRO when entering a school. They may actually avoid schools with SROs anyways and do their harm elsewhere.
I couldn't agree more. We've been so focused on the immediate stop the bad guys solutions, we may be missing the bigger picture. Like you said, the National Association of School Psychologists suggests that by focusing on arming teachers, we could be neglecting important preventative resources.
Absolutely, Ken. And that leads me to another thought. What about the mental health aspect of all this? Should we be focusing on preventative measures like providing students with robust mental health resources?
I think definitely yes. A study in the Journal of Youth and Adolescence found that mental health support and a strong sense of community can significantly reduce the incidence of violence in schools. And it may not be as immediate or as headline-grabbing as armed teachers, but it is a potentially more sustainable solution in the long run.
Yup, that's a key point, Ken. If we can tackle issues at their roots, it might not come down to an armed teacher or a safety officer. Could we be better off pouring resources into mental health and well-being programs?
There really is. But remember, at the end of the day, the goal is the same. We want all supportive learning environments for our students. And the debate is how we get here.
Okay, we're really opening up the conversation here, Ken. From armed teachers to safety officers to mental health resources. There's a whole lot more to consider though.
Couldn't have said it better, Justin. Until next time, stay safe, everyone.
That's right, Ken. It's a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. Keep the conversation going, folks, and keep sending us your thoughts. Catch you later. Bro.
Yo, Luke.
Shouldn't teachers be armed to protect students from school?
Protect students from school shooters. Increase student anxiety, disrupt the learning environment, and potentially impair academic achievement. Study showing that students of color the Urban Review conducted the Urban Review the U.S. Secret Service says